Hi, I'm Mel,
Hi, I'm Danny.
and we're the Sheehan sisters.
Welcome to our channel. If you've never seen our face before, we are currently starting a podcast style commentary channel. So grab a snack, grab a coffee, grab some water. If you haven't hydrated today, this is your reminder to do so. Otherwise, grab a nice, sweet, savory snack and come join us as we talk about some topics today.
If you haven't watched our last video, which is episode 1 of our podcast, you should go check it out. We talk about AI and boycotting, social media, celebrities, which are topics we'll probably talk about again. I do want to say one thing before we get into our topics for the day. As we mentioned in our last video, we are hypocrites. So I wanted to say in the beginning of that video, I talk about how I need to get a new phone. And for some reason, I feel like I needed to clarify on that because we shouldn't be getting a new phone every year. But I haven't gotten a new phone in 5 years, going on 6. But this one is like coming to the end of its life. So I am looking to get a new phone, probably not actually new, maybe refurbished. So if you guys have any suggestions down below on what phone I should get, let me know.
I think it's okay that after what you said, 6 years, you upgrade your technology. I don't think we're that hypocritical. We're not buying the latest version every single year.
Right. I don't know. It was weighing heavy on my soul. And I'm like, I need to just get a fucking flip phone.
It's funny because I was thinking about our sneaker conversation and I'm walking out the door wearing Converse and I'm like, didn't I say I don't have trendy sneakers, but I'm wearing a pair of Converse?
Liar.
These are the things we overthink about, and we start to wonder if people are going to see us out on the street and be like, didn't you say you don't wear these type of sneakers?
So you see where the spiraling comes from, and I'm like, we're just gonna change the name of this podcast to Hypocrisy Podcast.
No, we should change it to Sheehan Sister Spiraling.
That's a good one too.
We need our alliterations. What are we talking about today, Mel? Because we're not getting into sneakers anymore. I think we're good on that topic. Would you consider yourself a stylish person?
No, I consider myself a basic bitch. That's what I consider myself. I do love clothes, but I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm stylish. I would want to be, but then again, it all comes back to like consumerism where I'm like, well, I don't need that. And then I have a job where I just wear a uniform. So I don't get to dress up as often. So when I do get to dress up, like when we film these videos, I'm like, okay, I get to wear all my cute clothes now. What about you?
I wish I was stylish. As if you may or may not know, my default style is wearing all black or a black shirt. I do agree with the saying that you're not ugly, you're just poor. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, if you have money and you have the resources and you have your own personal stylist, hello, honey, we would all be flashy. We would all be flaunting. We would all be walking down the street like, hey, I'm a model.
I think that's actually a great topic to go into because this is something we've been wanting to talk about. And I've been seeing a lot of discourse on this recently. It's been happening over years, but I think more recently, the dramatic change in celebrities due to plastic surgery. And sometimes I feel like when I hear that saying of like, you're not ugly, you're just poor, people maybe kind of think, oh, well, I need to get surgery. I need to pay to look good. I need to pay to fix myself. What do you think?
Well, it's wild because more and more young people are getting fillers and Botox. And that's not even the age we should be starting that. I'm not against plastic surgery. I just prefer full disclosure and full transparency, because if you're setting trends and setting standards as a celebrity, you should be honest that, hey, I went under the knife. I look like this because I had the money to do so. They want to present themselves collected and refined, when we know in reality it's curated and designed, and there's people and machines behind them to present them this way. And that includes surgeons. You have a list of doctors you can contact, and you go under the knife and you come out looking like you woke up in your 20s again.
Yeah, that actually scares me that people want to look younger. Like, aging is a privilege and a blessing, and you should be so happy that you're still alive. But one other thing I wanted to say was about being transparent, because a lot of them will then go on to promote skincare and athletic wear. And it's like, you didn't work out to get that body. And I do know that certain surgeries, you have to maintain it. So you do have to begin working out, possibly. But then it's just not, it's literally false advertisement. When you see a fucking Kardashian, we all know that their bodies are not real, whether they want to admit it or not. Or they go and they make, like I said, skin, like makeup and skincare, and then they're trying to sell that to you when they're getting Botox, and it's like, what are we doing?
Well, I know more celebrities are being open about getting Botox now, but that's the extent of what they're willing to admit. It's like, girl, I know you got a facelift. But I
Right.
feel
And we're
like
not.
I feel like it's the stigma around plastic surgery. You know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you say that you got plastic surgery, there is going to be backlash. And if you don't admit to sorry, I'm glitching. And if you don't admit to plastic surgery, there's going to be backlash. So I understand being conflicted about how honest you want to be, whether you got plastic surgery or not. I just think that if we normalized it, then we can get over the hurdle of that backlash. But like we said in our last podcast, everyone has an opinion and it's not always going to be pleasant. So, regardless of honesty, people are going to express their opinion, whether we like it or not.
Right. And I see videos of people with their conspiracy theories, which I think is funny. I do love a conspiracy theory every now and then, but they'll make up these random conspiracy theories as to why celebrities are getting their faces done and taking Ozempic and all of that. And I think the main reasoning behind that is public scrutiny, which, again, it's so like ironic how that person's sitting there saying, why are they changing their face? And it's like, because people like you are making videos constantly critiquing their face and their body, and they're constantly being photographed and filmed and watched, and they don't like, maybe not necessarily they don't like what they see, but they feel like, because of what people are saying, that they need to change it. This is something Danny and I talk about a lot, being content creators, which we hate that word, but we use it often, where we don't necessarily, I don't want to say we don't love how we look, because we do love ourselves, but then when you're seeing yourself constantly, I don't think we were meant to see ourselves as often as we do. And not everyone's photogenic, not everyone that doesn't mean that you're ugly. It's just that we don't all fit that beauty standard. And even us as two white girls don't always feel like we even fit that standard. And we look at pictures of ourselves, and I was like, I could not imagine being caught at certain angles. I would be, and then it's like, thrown all over the internet and turned into a meme.
I have a few points I want to make.
Okay.
Number one, if I was a celebrity getting photographed on a regular basis, I would absolutely tighten things up. Like, my chin, I hate.
Oh, no, self-love.
Self-love, of course, self-love. But that's why I think they don't want to admit to plastic surgery, because then they don't want to be scrutinized that they don't love themselves and they don't value their natural appearance.
Right, and then they're surrounded, and then I feel like they're surrounded by a team who's convincing them that it's an investment because they are selling themselves, basically.
Absolutely. And we're buying into the perfect world of a celebrity's life. They have to have that perfect appearance and that perfect personality and showcase that they have everything put together. And mind you, like you had mentioned, they're on camera constantly. You need to have pounds and pounds of makeup when you're on camera for it to, what's the word I'm looking for? To relay or present the image, the beautiful image that a lot of people are looking for, a lot of people want to see, and the directors and producers and everyone behind the camera expects as well. I have some more points to make. I didn't know if you wanted to interject.
No, go right ahead. I'm thinking. I'm not spiraling. I'm not. We're not gonna spiral.
So, as Mel had mentioned, not everyone is photogenic, and I'm the same way. Do not post any off-guard pictures of me. I have a story, but I feel like I'm gonna wait on that.
Why? You don't have to tell it. I have no pressure. I just curious what you want to wait on.
I don't know if I want to wait on it or just not tell it, because it's from the past, you know, and I don't want anyone watching this to think. I had a friend who posted a really bad off-guard photo of me, and I was not comfortable with them having that photo on their page because they looked absolutely stunning and flawless. And I didn't look good. I'm like, hello, girl. We should all be top tier, right? We should all feel like we look like 10s in the photo if we're going to post a group photo.
Right. I do want to interject. Is this the same friend that did the same thing to me?
Yes.
There was a pattern of behavior there. But I get paranoid about that too, because there are times where I take pictures with people and I think they look great. And I think it's usually very clear if someone looks good or they don't. But sometimes I think someone looks great, but they're focusing in on an imperfection that I'm not even aware of, or an insecurity that they have. But I know what photo you're referring to, and I know the person you're referring to. And this person, you would be like, I'm making an ugly face, which is gonna get screenshotted, but you'll be like that in a photo, and they'll post it. You know what I'm saying? Where like I'm speaking of like I don't know. It's again subjective. Where there are times where I'm like, I think this person looks great, but maybe they don't feel confident in themselves. But then there's also like, okay, this is clearly a bad photo.
But I also think that, you know, there's like a unspoken rule in your friendship group of like, hey, like, are you happy with this photo? Like, do we all like it? If not, let's retake it.
Yes. Ask people, hey, is this a cute photo? I'm gonna post it. Definitely.
I don't know. That's just how I am. Maybe other people are just like, sorry, girl. I took it on my phone, so it's going up. I think I told you, love our family, but our sister, she's like a typical mom where she posts just every photo that we took of a family get together. And I'm like, girl, please just don't tag me.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I have mom energy sometimes where I'm like, everyone's beautiful and like we all look good. And like That's the thing too, where there are some people who are just so like pure minded, I guess, in a sense, where they're just like, this is just all of us having a good time. But like you said, you can usually see the intention on the photo, because if it's like just random photos throughout the party or throughout the day, you can tell. But if it's like a one specific photo and that one person is like model ready,
Yeah.
then you know. I think this is a great topic because have you heard of the Demi Lovato meme where it's like Poot Lovato?
Yes.
And just recently for Halloween, she got her makeup done and everything done to look like the meme.
Oh, did she? I didn't see this. I do know that for years she hated that meme.
As she should.
And it deeply affected her. And I relate to that because I feel like I've had similar photos where the lighting did me wrong, girl.
Well, did you know that that's photoshopped?
I thought that she had already had like a brightness and then it made her look a certain way and then someone just like they photoshopped it to like contrast it even more or like made the brightness even more.
No, they like photoshopped her forehead and her nose and all of it. Like it already was like, yeah, it was a bad photo, but then someone photoshopped her features to like make it look worse, which like she was in an interview recently where she said she didn't realize when she first saw it either that it was photoshopped, because like you were saying, there's sometimes where someone can get a bad angle of you, especially if you are someone who struggles with body dysmorphia and body issues. That's triggering as fuck.
And that's why I wouldn't be against plastic surgery if I was a major celebrity. Because I know that I would be deeply affected by these photos that are being published in magazines.
But yeah, she fully leaned into the meme now. She's in her confident era.
I'm glad. You have to regain the narrative. I think when you're part of the joke and you're able to be part of the joke, that feels like you're regaining your power back.
Exactly. And I just felt like that was a perfect story to tie into what we're talking about, where it's like you become a celebrity and then there's something like that kind of meme all over the internet, and now there's just this terrible picture of you, and it doesn't matter if it's real or not real. Just all, it feels like if that were to be done to someone in like a school setting, like that would be considered bullying. Would it not? Like we as a society, and especially like our generation, the younger generation, I feel like we've become more comfortable with bullying. I know people are gonna be like, oh, you're being sensitive, but it's easy to say when you're not the joke, when you're not the butt of the joke and it's not at your expense. It's easy to be like, oh, it's lighthearted, it's silly, it's funny.
Another celebrity I wanted to bring up, which may invite some mean comments, but we grew up with her and I am a fan of her, Selena Gomez. I don't know if you've seen recently, but she's also been getting backlash for her appearance and her latest music video.
Yeah, and like I don't know, maybe I watched it and I didn't think, like, obviously I think she looks different, but I wasn't as like taken back as everyone else was, and I was kind of surprised. Everyone's like, whoa, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I become desensitized to celebrities changing, because I'm just like, okay, yeah, they wear makeup and they get surgery and they're always looking, I don't know, I'm just not as like not affected, because like we really shouldn't be that affected, but I don't know, I was just like, okay.
Well, I do think that they were taking screen grabs of poor shots of her. So obviously, if you're going to screenshot at a bad angle, the person's not going to look good.
Right. And I do want to say, again, we're contradicting ourselves, or you may feel like we're contradicting ourselves because we're shitting on celebrities in our last episode and now in this episode. We're not saying to feel bad for them. I think our overall message is to maybe like care less. And even though we're talking about it, I do think it's an important topic because I feel like a lot of society bases their own lives on what celebrities are doing.
Right, but we were also brainwashed to do so. We're being taught to idolize these people. But my point about Selena Gomez was I do feel like she was pressured to succumb to the most common trend of the iPhone face and having that sculpted V shape. One thing that I admired about her was her round face, because I have a round face. And I also admired that she was open about having her body weight go up and down and had moments where she was thicker. So it is upsetting when you see celebrities that you grew up with. And like Mel was saying, we're not idolizing them, but to see that they ultimately feel the pressure to maintain that that thin look and to change your facial structure, you start to see a decline of someone that looks like you on the screen. And again, there's only so much we could really say because we're white women, so we've seen ourselves on the screen for years. In my perspective, because I've gained weight from when I was younger, that's something that I've been dealing with personally. And even when Mel and I film, I have to move past my body image issues because I ultimately do enjoy being on camera and having the podcast with Mel. But a lot of our contention during editing for so many years was my body dysmorphia and my hatred for certain angles. And that was during my skinny era, you know? So as I've gotten older and my body has changed and I have gained weight, it does make me notice how society treats people who are thicker compared to when you're a smaller woman, a thinner woman, I mean. And I realized that what we had talked about cycles in our last podcast, and that happens in the media as well, where there was this big push for body positivity, and then they were embracing thicker women, but now we're back to the skinny era where Ozempic is in and all these medications and surgeries to look thin, look a lot smaller, look a lot flatter is now becoming popular again, which was the norm in the 90s. That's what we grew up seeing. And then I think like by what, like 2010 to 2016, I would say they started embracing more body positivity. But then the backlash of that was, oh, well, you're normalizing unhealthy lifestyles. So now we're back to the cycle of, oh, thin equals healthy and skinny equals beauty. I said a lot. I said a lot.
No, and you're saying a lot of important things. And it does upset me too to see that trend coming back because like you said, there was that era of trying to support people feeling good in their bodies, because that's also false saying like being bigger is unhealthy. It's like that's actually not true. Obviously, if you're, like there's the show like My 1,000-Pound Life or something of that extent. There's shows like with that title where it's like, yeah, that weight, you're definitely not healthy, but just because you're not skinny little tiny thing doesn't mean that you're unhealthy. That's actually not true. And it's just upsetting that we are still sticking to that narrative. And then also, you can be skinny and very unhealthy or out of shape. As someone who's been like thinner most of my life, which I've also struggled with my weight, and Danny and I have talked about this in a previous video, where most of my life I was really thin because I was unhealthy. And I'm not in shape. I can't, if I run down the block, I'm out of breath. So to make it seem like, oh, this person's bigger, they can't do this, this, and that, when there are people who are, and I hate even using the word bigger, but I don't really, I guess, plus size, where they're dancers and they're athletes and they're doing a lot more than I could physically do. So it's just like this false narrative that's being spread, and it doesn't even make any sense. And I don't think a lot of these celebrities even look good. Like the thin skinniness, it actually looks really scary and sickly, and it reminds me of when I was that scary thin. And it also kind of, I know not to get like too sad, but it also, like, they look like cancer patients, some of them, because our dad passed away a few years ago and he suffered from cancer, and he got really scary thin, and his cheekbones were like that hollow cheekbone that you're seeing now, and it just makes, they all just look sick to me, and I feel like they are, mentally and physically.
I think one thing I do realize is you have to maintain a certain lifestyle to be that thin. So I just start to assess what exactly their diet could be and how often they're working out.
But now with these drugs, there's not, sorry if I was gonna steal what you were gonna say.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I just feel like they're not even they don't even have to maintain anything anymore. Like, where, yeah, there's definitely like a privilege of being able to afford healthy food and a gym membership and things of that. But I think now it's like, oh, here's a pill and you're skinny.
No, of course. And I am aware of what those medications do for you, and I do realize that it suppresses your appetite, and I've also heard that it changes the way food tastes. And this is where I have my realization that no matter how much I want to be thin, I love food way too much to jeopardize my taste buds and to not indulge. Like, I prefer to indulge in delicious treats. I love food. I'm a foodie. And of course, I have to make healthier choices for the longevity of my life. But as far as changing certain habits in order to look a certain way is something I haven't been compromising on, as y'all see. Oh man, I just love food so much. And you know what? I do realize that you can eat in moderation what you enjoy, and you do have to be more active than you are consuming calories. So that's my extent of monitoring my diet.
But to go off of that, that's another place where people are shaming. Like, we should not shame people for eating. Again, eating, sadly, is now becoming also another privilege. And we were talking about that in our last video, how like going out to eat is like a luxury now. And it's like, let's not shame people for eating and eating what it is that they can afford or what's accessible to them. And I do want to say to the young women out there, your body is going to change so much, and your metabolism is going to change, and the way you hold weight is going to change. So, and I wish more women would speak on that instead of just trying so hard to stick with the trends and being skinny and trying to look how you looked when you were younger, because your weight is going to go up and down. Like, I used to be someone who was super skinny, and I'm still considered skinny. I don't know, I'm getting jumbled in my wording, but I just want like the young women to know, like, don't change your body at such a young age. Like, I think about, we were talking about Kylie Jenner in our last video, where she went and got breast implants, which I don't know if she's ever admitted to. And it's like, I used to be like that skinny, flat, stick person, and then I was just started taking care of myself and like actually allowing myself to eat, and like my body has changed over the years. And like when you're young, like you forget, like you're 17, 18, you're a teenager, you're a kid, your woman body is not going to come until like you're really in like your 30s, and your body's going to constantly keep changing. And we haven't even done enough medical research on women. So a lot of these diets and a lot of like medical advice is given to men and for men whose bodies are completely different.
And the same goes for these men fitness gurus or instructors who are giving a formula and a workout plan and a diet plan to women when we, like, I think you mentioned this, we hold weight differently. Our body's different. It operates differently. We also have our monthly cycles, which impact our energy, our water weight. There's a lot that goes into the woman's body that we have to acknowledge when we are compiling a workout plan and a diet plan, that men may not be offering the right guidance.
Exactly. And then I also think it goes for clothing, where we were saying how like there was the trend of supporting plus size women, and more companies were making clothes for all body types instead of just catering to smaller women. And like there's also like the fat phobia that the world has, and like it's okay for your size to go up. It's not a bad thing for your size to go up. And I know, again, I sound like a little crazy because I'm still at like normal sizes, but like I'm sitting there comparing it to the sizes I wore previously, and I'm also comparing it to like what I have in my closet that's no longer fitting me. And that's where it comes back to also like loving your body where you're at. And it's like I don't care enough to be like, I gotta fit back into these. It's like, no, I don't want to go back to that. I want to just move forward. And I know it's like a different, because Danny and I are kind of like on different sides of the spectrum of dealing with our body. But I think that clothing can be like a big thing, especially for women, where we feel like, oh, well, I don't fit into this tiny outfit, so I'm not beautiful. And I think finding the right clothes for your body is also like a big thing to help you feel confident in who you are, and also helping you, I don't know, like not feeling like obviously you're not gonna look like the model or the mannequin, you know what I'm saying? And like that's okay. And then, you know, like I've seen videos of people who don't feel the need to hide their body because they're not the standard, you know? They're like, no, I'm gonna show off my stomach, and I'm gonna show off my thighs, and I'm gonna show off my you know, quote unquote imperfections.
You mentioned about clothing size, and I remember when I was in high school, I had a friend who desired to be a size 0, and she thought I was a size 0, and I wasn't. Mind you, I was very skinny in high school, but I've always had hips. These hips don't lie. And I was like, no, girl. I think I was like a 5'6" jean size at that time, and she was shocked about it. But it's just this stigma around clothing size that distorts women's, I don't know, concept of what it means to have the perfect body.
Right. And I think, again, like we all kind of have this weird dysmorphia of what is like size 0 is like tiny, tiny. A lot of these models who are a size 0 are like 5'11, so they're holding weight completely differently. And that's another thing, that a factor that goes into it, where I'm 5'2", so then when I do gain weight, I start to be a little like, not stout because I don't like that word, but you know, like my weight goes into different areas of my body. Like it's really hard for me to find jeans. I just found a good pair of pants the other day and I was literally so happy, because there are times where like I can get it on but I can't button it, you know, things like that go into it. And I wear things like, right now I'm wearing a very baggy sweater and I'm wearing stretchy jeans over my, up over my, you know, like the way you again, you style yourself and you can like hide certain aspects or whatever of, I don't know, that I didn't go anywhere with that sentence.
Do you want to fix that?
I don't want to fix that. That's that. I just, and then again, I feel like I can't even speak on things, but I shouldn't feel that way about myself.
Of course not. Everyone's entitled to express their opinion about body dysmorphia and body image issues, regardless of their size. I was going to point out, because we mentioned about being stylish, and I feel like if I did have the right stylist, I would present myself a little more trendy, but because I become so uncomfortable with my body at times, I just end up wearing comfortable clothing, and then I feel like I look sloppy or I don't present myself in the most refined, modest way, and then I beat myself up over that.
And you are beating yourself up and you're being hard on yourself right now because you have some cute clothes and you've put some cute outfits together, and you're being mean and hard on yourself because you do know how to dress. And I think it's more so, like I said, the accessibility of finding clothes that you like, and like a lot of places cater to smaller sizes.
I do prefer to dress comfortably in general. I hate jeans, but I also hate building outfits. I don't know, if someone did it for me, of course, dress me up, DTI, you know, dress to impress. But I just don't feel like putting the energy into building an outfit. But then I beat myself up where I'm like, girl, you could look better than this, and you're being lazy, and you're not presenting yourself the way you see yourself with on the inside.
I definitely also lean towards being comfortable, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, I don't think, how do I want to say this? I don't think dressing comfortable is looking bad or looking like a slob. And I think that that's another narrative that's been forced and pushed onto people, where if you're out in sweatpants, it's like, this is not okay.
Right. I do want to point out that a lot of New York City style is comfortability, and a lot of natives do prefer to throw on a sweatsuit. They prefer to have sweatpants and a hoodie on.
I just want to say, as someone who's moved out of New York, I don't fully agree with that, because even the sweatsuits are like nice sweatsuits, I would say. Like it's like still stylish, comfy. And I think New Yorkers still get dressed up way more than, I live in Seattle now. No offense to the Seattle people. They have no taste in, I'm being so mean, but the way they dress out here is they're set on comfortability. And they're also very outdoorsy people, so they're also set on that too. And they're it's just a completely different from New York, as I've seen. So I feel like even when New Yorkers are in their sweatsuits, that's what I'm saying, I feel like they still look good. It's still like fresh clothing, if that makes sense. She's like, and I am now the main character. Welcome to my podcast. Once again, that's another factor of like where you live that also plays a part, because obviously different cities, states, countries are gonna have different trends and styles.
I do want to point out, I have to find who this creator is, but I believe I saw a story of this girl on TikTok who was promoting skinniness. Is that a word? Skinniness?
Sure. What she's okay. Elaborate on that.
I have to look into it, but I believe she was like doing some type of self-talk primarily for herself, but I don't know if it was supposed to encourage other girlies to go out and work out and go for walks and be skinny. Like her whole thing was rage bait, and she would have these monologues where she was talking about, she would do like a self-hate mantra to encourage herself to stay skinny. I have to find this creator, but people were talking about how toxic that was. But then on the other spectrum, there were people who were like, oh my God, this is great motivation for me.
Right, because we're so obsessed with diet culture. And again, I think that that's just a privilege to even be, for that to even be like your main concern throughout the day.
I also saw a TikToker whose whole platform was built off of her embracing her flat chest. Nala, everyone.
I'm trying to find her. I'm trying to do. We're real show here.
We're a real show. We got the producers in the back.
Well, Skinnytok is popping up, and that just triggered the hell out of me. This is why we're not on TikTok. I think everyone has bodily autonomy, or should have bodily autonomy, and if you want to be thin, then be thin. If you want to get surgery, get surgery. We're not trying to discourage anyone in that sense, but there is extremities to a lot of this. And that's the thing too, when I was super skinny, like you were even saying, your friend in high school who was like thinking that you were this size and wanting to have the body you have, we're all different. Our bodies are all gonna grow differently. Like Danny and I are sisters, and we've always had two completely different body types. That's just how it goes. And to try to achieve something that someone else has in general for anything is just, you're setting yourself up almost for failure, because your body doesn't work in the same way that they work. And then it goes into like internal factors of like, maybe your digestive system is different, and maybe you have different health issues than this person, and maybe there again, I probably repeated this, we usually have a theme in our video. I feel like different factors is like the thing I keep saying, but that's just so important, of like not to compare yourself to be like, I'm gonna look like this person and put them on your wall as a goal. And we are definitely people who love a vision board and love manifesting, but it's not fully obtainable, I would say.
Well, I don't know how this will be in editing, but I wanted to bring up the story of the TikToker who built her whole page and her whole following off of embracing her flat chest. And then she disappeared for a little while and came back and was like, hey, I got a boob job. And her audience was so upset by this because she inspired them to embrace their flat chest. She faced backlash for ultimately changing her appearance despite projecting this self-love for her natural body. But the question is, if getting the boob job ultimately made her feel comfortable, is that the message we want to embrace? Or do we feel like she failed all of the women and the young girls that followed her because she embraced her natural body, and they can see themselves reflected on the screen and see themselves within this influencer, but now she just tarnished all of that self-love that she was teaching to those that decided to follow her?
I think We need to stop putting pressure onto people. I think that's so much pressure to put on a person and so much expectations to put on someone. And I think that brings together everything we've been talking about in this video of celebrities and influencers. You like, and I just said you can't have someone be like, this is my standard for what I want to look like, because bodies change, and obviously she paid to get that change. But regardless, all those girls out there, their bodies might change, especially if you're young. Like, I used to be skinny mini, and I'm still skinny, and I know people are gonna again be affected, but like, I now have curves, and I now have boobs, and I would never thought that I would have any boobs. And I don't know, I'm laughing because it's silly and it's funny, and it's that might not happen for everyone. You might not get older and your boobs come. They might not ever come. You don't know how your body is going to change. And I think that was another point where we're saying, like, you don't know how your body is going to grow and change and what's going to happen. But I think if you're like 14, 15 and you're like, oh, I'm flat chested, just wait till you're older. And then even then, when you're in your 30s and your 40s, I don't know, it's just different. And do you know how old this woman is?
I don't. I'd have to look into that.
And then it also goes back to celebrities who are getting plastic surgery or taking Ozempic, where it was like, oh, you were my plus size idol and now you're skinny, you know, or whatever the case may be, either or. Like, oh, you were my skinny idol and now you gained weight. Like, I think putting that pressure on someone to be the same forever is ridiculous, and just too much pressure to put on someone. Like, I think, again, going back to like our last episode and this episode of like idolizing someone and pigeonholing them to be this one thing forever. And it's ultimately about what they want in their life. You should never live your life for other people.
And that's the podcast. Thank you.
Because we've talked about this before, of like wanting to, like, I don't want to be famous, which I know people might not think is true, because I don't want anyone to have any expectations for who I'm gonna be, if that makes sense. Like, and we were saying this in our last episode too, like, not to hold us to one thing, because we're growing and we're changing and we're evolving always. We haven't said that in a while. So I kind of feel bad for this woman, because she ultimately made a decision that she wanted to make. She tried to embrace her body as it was, and I think you should always love yourself in the moment. And it's such a difficult topic of plastic surgery, not plastic surgery, because again, I was someone when I was younger who wanted a boob job, and for so long, like even in my early 20s, was like, I think if I had the money, if it was affordable, if I could magically snap my fingers, I'd get a boob job. And it's like, girl, all you had to do was, one, eat some food, because you were not okay. You're not taking care of yourself. You gotta eat some food, okay? First of all, put some fat in your body. But that doesn't work for everyone. Again, everyone's metabolism is different. Everyone's body is different. So it wasn't always guaranteed that one day I'd have boobs. This is such a funny topic to me. I keep laughing like I'm a fucking child at the word boobs, because I never thought I'd be on the internet talking about my boobs. But yeah, like, I just think that, like, I understand where both perspectives are coming from, the girl who got the surgery and the women who still haven't or can't afford to, because I've been there. And you were saying too how, like, you think about getting this, like, I'm sure a lot of us do think about what they would change, and if we could, we would do this and that. But like, your body just changes on so much. There's so many factors. I keep saying that, but there's so many factors. But a lot of people realize that their cortisol levels are high, and that's adding to their weight gain, or like it also adds to like your face structure and things like that. And there's people who start to focus more on taking care of, like, again, their internal body. Like, or there's people who realize they have a gluten allergy, and that's why they're bloated all the time. So that's why I also say all the factors that go into certain things, where like your body's being affected by so much more than just like the exterior of what you look like. I feel like I've lost my plot for a moment, but do you want to take over? Because I'm I'm losing it.
To your point, I think that ties back into people's value over outer appearance rather than what's going on within health-wise. And that's why we made the point of just because somebody is thinner doesn't mean they're necessarily the healthiest. But we're taught more to value appearance over understanding your body and cortisol levels. Like, I'm not familiar with that. I'm sure if I went to the doctor regularly, I would be. But that's a whole different topic of why I don't go to the doctors.
Right, and then there's like bigger issues that we should be focusing on, and I know we spent a whole video talking about body and the outside when, you know, emotional maturity matters, intelligence matters, free health insurance should be like there's so obviously more important things, but this is something that does heavily affect us, especially in America. It's like that's what they've taught us to care about.
Which is why we see the rise of influencers and people leaning towards or gravitating towards being an influencer and getting all of these procedures done so that they are presenting themselves in a way that will be marketable. It's all about marketability, people. Don't you know? If you're ugly, you cannot make money on social media.
If you're ugly, you just don't even have the right to exist.
If you're ugly, you're worthless.
All right. Well, there was another story you wanted to share with us today.
Yes. So you had mentioned earlier about being basic. And I seen a short, right? That's what they're called on YouTube.
Yeah.
Short reels. What are they called? They're just called TikToks on TikTok. Obviously. Obviously, because there's no... Wait, you can put photos on TikTok, right?
I have no clue. I don't know. I think the main gist of it is videos.
Yeah, like we said, we've never ventured to TikTok.
I have ventured in 2020.
You had a little TikTok moment?
Yeah.
What were you posting?
2020 was me being like, I'm gonna become a influencer, and I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, we're moving on to my story.
That was a dark time. Anyway, yeah.
2020 was a dark time for many reasons for us and for the world. This content creator posted a really cool short of them making a customized phone case, and they went through the steps of building these little mini pizzas out of clay, and they put toppings on it, and it was super cute, super creative. But in their commentary, their voiceover, they were calling people with just plain backgrounds basic and saying how they're going to make this intricate phone case because they don't want a basic phone case. When I tell you, the comment section was so triggered by them calling plain phone cases basic and essentially calling the audience basic if they have a plain phone case. The comments were so toxic, and majority of the people were commenting how annoying this creator was for being funny. I didn't take them seriously when they were like, oh, you're basic if you have a plain phone case. I think they were just doing a funny voiceover, and they were just justifying their own reason for making this creative phone case. But all of the comments were so triggered, and people, not that they were like, oh, I don't want to be basic, but I guess they don't want to be called basic. They were just like, oh, well, this phone case is, they're just justifying why they have a plain phone case because they got so triggered being called basic.
Right. And that's why I just embrace being a basic bitch. Literally, when you go into certain stores, there's a section of just plain clothes, and they're literally called like the basics, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's the thing. I guess they don't mind being basic. They just didn't want to feel attacked for being basic, or they felt like they were being attacked.
Right, and I think that's something we talked about in our last episode too, of like the shaming and the guilting and the being mean online, and like everyone's taking everything personally and projecting everything onto others. And if you attack a celebrity they like, now they feel their whole personality feels attacked. And you should just not have attachments in general, which I know is hard to do, but like if you're attaching yourself to your phone case, it's like, okay, what's really going on inside, like maybe again, like we said before, go outside, take a walk, take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. I've been attacked. I have a clear phone case, and I watched the video of someone saying that's the worst possible phone case to have, and I was like, well, I don't care.
Let me just pull this up quickly just to read some comments, because I'm over here like, oh wow, this was so creative, this person's so talented, and then I go to the comment section and I'm like, what is happening? This is what everyone took from this?
Right, and that's another thing we kind of mentioned in our last episode. We kind of mentioned
re-say that, girl.
And this is something we mentioned in our last episode too, of people watching a video and taking one part of it and then basing their whole analysis on that one little line or part. Or maybe they didn't even finish the video after that. They just heard that one thing, they got triggered, and they reacted.
Sorry, I'm just pulling it up. Okay, here it is. 12,000 likes. This whole vid was just her complaining about us being basic. Crying emoji. Here. 9,000 likes. It's okay to be basic. Your worth is not defined by this.
Right.
Here we go. I mean, if we're judging people based on phone cases, a pizza phone case gives, I'm quirky, guys. Very 2015 Tumblr.
Oh, I love a 2015 Tumblr vibe. I love it.
Here we go.
And that's basic, actually. But anyway.
The irony of calling everyone and everything basic, but then choosing pizza as your phone case.
Do you think she was rage baiting when saying that, or you think it's just something she said and people are now taking it
She literally mentioned it briefly in the start of the video as to why she's making a creative phone case, and the whole comment section just could not get over that line.
But that's like the sum of the internet these days.
The hate on basic people. Guys, it's completely fine to be basic.
We really need to stop the basic hate, guys. Stop the basic hate. It's a real problem.
Here we go. This one. I'm just going to read a couple more, but because I just think it's so funny. Girl, this phone case looks so good, but having a simple phone case does not make someone basic. The phone case is not the window to your personality. That's what makes someone a poser. If you think your looks equals personality. We are all unique and express ourselves in all kinds of ways.
Right.
Listen, I think they're all making valid points, but I just think they took the basic line she said and ran with it, and that wasn't even the purpose of the short.
And that line is so funny in like all these comments, because she said a basic phone case. She didn't say, did she say people are basic if they have this phone case, or did she say the phone case? Like, I need to hear the wording.
Okay, let me show you the video, and we can insert this if we want to.
Because I want to say something, but I want to make sure I'm speaking correctly before I do.
Okay.
Oh, that's cute.
It's so cute.
I strongly believe that your phone case is a window into your personality. And here's my hot take. The vast majority of y'all have boring ass phone cases, me previously included. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and make a custom polymer clay pizza phone case. Now, if there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I'm extra as hell. And I certainly extra'd all over this project. Making those toppings was almost surgical. Like, these olives are maybe 2 millimeters wide. Speaking of surgery, my ego really has a field day, because between you and me, I think I'd be pretty good at it. Back in high school, I so badly wanted to be a neurosurgeon, purely because I watched Grey's Anatomy up until like season 3 and then immediately dropped it. But little me thought this looks so fun. Instead of listening to like lo-fi beats to study to like a normal person, I would watch open heart surgeries while studying for my finals or like my AP exams. So yeah, that was a little psychotic of me, and I wish I was joking, but I am not. Here are all the ingredients laid out. So satisfying to look at. And these only took like the entire day to make. Here's me getting distracted by dinner, and then the assembly. You know what? Now's a great time to address the pineapple in the room. Initially, I was just gonna do pepperoni plus like the deluxe combo pizza plus the prosciutto arugula, but you know what? I liked the aesthetics of it. I liked the color. I liked the switch up. And here's the thing. I don't think pineapple on pizza should even be debated. Like, who cares? Just put what you want.
So wait, she didn't even say basic. She just said boring. She didn't even say the word basic. She said boring. Which is kind of worse, but it actually makes it even funnier because people weren't even listening correctly.
Oh my god. But do you see how the rest of the short, she's just talking about her making the design and her watching Grey's Anatomy, and the topic completely switched, but people got hung up on the first line about being called boring or equating that to being basic because they have a plain phone case.
And the thing is, like, I don't agree with your phone case showcasing your personality, but if that's what if you agree with her, then you'd be upset because you'd be like, oh shit, I just have a red phone case. You know what I'm saying? But if that's your favorite color, like, I don't know, like, that's just so silly to me to get so upset about that, because it's like, that's silly.
But this ties into people valuing themselves based off of what they're seeing and hearing on the internet. They're seeing this person who has, how many views does this have? Whatever the case, like this influencer who's popular and making a really cute and creative phone case, maybe that just ties into their insecurity, and now they're second guessing about their personality. It's like, if you don't know yourself, then every little thing that you feel that is different from you ends up triggering you.
Right.
And this is why we have to have self-love. I think that's the message today. Self-love, self-value, and learning yourself takes time. And I know that there's a lot of younger viewers on the internet. So of course, these are probably young kids that are reflecting on their own style and may have gotten triggered because they don't want to be perceived as boring and basic.
Right. But we can't take a stranger's opinion. Don't take anything personally, especially not some stranger on the internet. Like, if that's what they think, then that's what they think. That doesn't represent who you are.
Right, but it's hard when you're younger because you're still learning your identity and having a strong sense of self. Like we mentioned in our last podcast, when you are being shown this lifestyle and you don't have the latest technology, the latest phone, or the trendiest sneakers, just to tie this all back together.
Right, and I completely understand that. I'm just saying, like, the message that I was trying to say, like, obviously they're younger, I can't do anything about that. That's their parents and their community's responsibility to, like, help build them up, where I'm like, but I was saying, like, don't take what some stranger's opinion or their life to heart or take it too personally, which I know easier said than done because we just spent a whole video talking about how we've done that for years. And I do feel bad for the younger generation because, yeah, we had celebrity culture and we still do have celebrity culture, but now they have all these added extra influences, literally, as these influencers are all over the place and they're just on the internet all day.
We had a small technical issue. So we had to restart filming. So if it looks a little choppy and weird at this part, that's the reason. But we do want to wrap up this episode of our podcast. What do we want to tell them, Mel? What is our concluding message today?
Our concluding message is to love yourself and spread love to others, and not to be those white bitches that say that. But I think being kind to one another, there's nothing wrong with being kind to one another. And if you don't agree with someone, you don't have to allow them into your life. You can, especially now in this day and age, you can block and delete.
I feel like that's a loaded statement, because I feel like if you also just surround yourself with everyone that thinks like you, then you aren't growing. But that's going to tumble us into other topics.
We're talking surface level here, though, okay? Because I don't want to be with around someone who's constantly worried about being skinny.
I think our main message is think critically about what you're watching online. Don't take things personally. And don't let other people's body image issues affect your own relationship with your body.
Right. Independent thought.
Independent thoughts. Do what's healthiest and happiest for you. And read more, because we're in a brain rot epidemic here in the USA. So pull out those books, go to the library. You know, don't just rely on the fitness instructor you're watching on TikTok for your diet plan. You can find plenty of books that can help you formulate your own regimen.
Yes, this is your reminder to go out, take a walk, maybe to the library. Don't focus on celebrities and influencers. That's what I mean by like block and delete them. You know, block and delete the people who are causing negativity into your life. And we can elaborate more on that in our next episode, because again, people might take that in the wrong sense.
Well, I think that's why I ended up deactivating my Instagram, because I was questioning my own self-worth based on what I was seeing on my feed. And
Right.
I realized how I needed to take a step back and focus on myself rather than on my feed and on the social media apps to tell me who I should be and what I should be wearing and what my lifestyle should be looking like.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Right. Surround yourself with different perspectives. Definitely don't be in an echo chamber, for better or for worse. And again, we can elaborate more on that in our next episode. And we are going to talk about Yellowjackets in our next episode. I know we said that last time. It's kind of like a little cliffhanger at the end of each podcast episode now. Anyway, I'm getting loopy and tired. We've been filming for like 2 hours. But we do want to talk about Yellowjackets, and that was our intention going into this. But as we've mentioned before, we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves, and we don't want to beat ourselves up if we don't get to certain topics, because we'll just make another video, and that's what we're gonna do.
I do feel like maybe we could do a mini podcast dedicated to Yellowjackets, but again, we'll see. I think we don't want to deep dive into every specific storyline of season 3, but we did want to share our observation and our opinions on where the season led the show. So
Yeah.
it depends how long we really want to talk about it for, because we can say, oh, we just want to do a brief overview of season 3, and then we'll have a whole hour commentary on the show. So I think it's difficult for us to assess what type of video we want to do for Yellowjackets.
I have an idea, so comment below. Don't be shy, guys. Leave us comments, but I have an idea. So either, yeah, we can do a whole video dedicated like we have before to Yellowjackets. But I have an idea of talking about Yellowjackets and maybe some other TV series we've been watching, and even talking about maybe some books as well, and just overall any kind of media we've been consuming lately. What do you think about that?
I agree. I like that idea.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for today.
I'm a little worried about how the end of this podcast is going to be edited, because we started diving into a topic that we ultimately decided we're going to cut out and save for another episode. So I don't know if this will end up being a little choppy towards the end. If it is, we're sorry. We did have some technical issues, so we jumped back in to wrap things up. But there will always be more episodes to expand on those ideas.
Exactly. Not to be a bitch, but I'm not sorry. You know, we're not perfect, and take it or leave it. Comment below if you care about that. Because I watch so many podcasts, and I tell this to Daniel, I watch so many podcasts, they're talking about nothing. There's no continuity. There's no basis. They're just like, have you heard about, it feels like an old school comedian where it's like, have you heard about airline food lately? And like, it goes nowhere, and then it goes somewhere else, and like, I don't know. Anyway, don't beat us up about this. We're trying.
I was going to say that I did spiral about us mentioning that they shouldn't hold us to one specific topic or one specific niche, because people like consistency, and they like a routine, and I'm like, uh-oh, you're not gonna find that here, but still stick around.
I think our last video, it all made sense. It all flowed well. And I think this video too, it all flowed. It all kind of had the same gist of the topic, but different things, if that makes sense. Like, I think that's going to be kind of how our podcasts go, where it's like there is an overall message, but we're diving into little different topics of that message.
We're
like
diving into different elements of that overall theme and overall topic.
Right. It's like math isn't just math. There's algebra, there's calculus, there's so many levels to it. I don't know why I chose math as my analogy, but you get what I'm saying. You know, like there's different types. It's about like, I'm going to talk about math. There's so much I could talk about. I never thought I would talk about. This is probably the extent that I'd ever talk about math. But you get the analogy that I'm trying to bring to the table.
See, I'm triggered once math has entered the conversation, so we can go ahead and wrap things up for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.